Buckle up because the files are open, the secrets are spilling, and the walls of the palace are shaking. If you thought the royal family drama was cooling down, think again. We're looking at a code red situation. But for once, the heat isn't just on Prince Andrew. It's radiating all the way to Montecito. Meghan Markle is reportedly in full-blown panic mode. Why? Because the latest Epstein document dump doesn't just drag Prince Andrew back into the mud. It reignites the questions about everyone who ran in those circles. And despite her best efforts to scrub the internet, rewrite history, and rebrand as a humanitarian saint, Meghan's past has a funny way of haunting her. Let's start with the facts. The undeniable, uncomfortable receipts that dropped this week. The latest disclosure of files linked to Jeffrey Epstein has hit the press, and it is catastrophic for the Duke of York. Among more than 3 million documents released, pictures have surfaced appearing to show Andrew Mountbatten Windsor in a compromising position, crouched over an unidentified woman. There is no context, no location, and no date provided, but the optics, they are devastating. While Andrew has strenuously denied any wrongdoing and has yet to respond to this specifically, the files raise serious questions about his judgment. We're talking about email exchanges from 2010, long after Epstein had been convicted of offenses involving children. In one exchange, Epstein suggests Andrew meet a 26-year-old Russian woman in London. Andrew's reply, he'd be delighted, and asks for her contact details. Epstein responds, she's 26, Russian, clever, and beautiful. We will continue reducing. Reducing, that is the language of a transaction, not a friendship. But here's where the story shifts. While the world is staring at Andrew, sources say Meghan Markle is watching these headlines with terrifying intensity. Why? Because the exposure of the FC network proves one thing. Secrets don't stay buried forever. Let's say it plainly. The whispers have been floating for years, but now they aren't whispers anymore. They're shouting. Meghan has spent years curating a narrative of perfection, but the truth has a way of rising to the surface, one uncomfortable wave at a time. You've heard the rumors, the yacht girl era, the mysterious gap year, the connections that don't quite add up. For a long time, this was dismissed as internet gossip or trolls trying to take down the Duchess. But what happens when that gossip starts getting confirmed by sources that can't be ignored? What happens when the hush-hush connection starts showing up with receipt? The game changer. And for Meghan, that game is turning into something she can no longer curate. We need to talk about the Epstein connection. Not necessarily that Meghan was his best friend, but that she operated in the orbit. The spotlight is heating up. For a long time, her name was floated around in anonymous forums and hushed Hollywood circles, always denied, always silent. But now, with Andrew's files blowing the lid off the entire network, the proximity is becoming undeniable. This isn't about wild conspiracy theory. It's about documented affiliations and overlapping social circles. We aren't saying Meghan was involved in illegal activity. Let's be very clear on that. But her proximity to the world of luxury yachts, elite party circuits, and powerful men tied to Epstein's network is no longer just a maybe. It's real. It's messy, and it's the kind of mess that makes publicists lose sleep and image consultants scramble for a strategy. Let's dive into the yacht party era. Before she was the Duchess of Sussex, before she was Rachel Zane on Suits, Meghan was a working actress trying to climb the ladder. The unspoken truth about how many actresses navigated that world is finally being talked about more openly. Yacht parties were often the behind-the-scenes opportunities to mingle with billionaires, producers, and men who held the keys to the kingdom. Meghan, like many others, was allegedly part of that world. That's not judgment. That's Hollywood reality. But here is where it takes a dark turn. According to sources close to several media houses, Meghan's team allegedly made aggressive moves to make this era disappear. We're talking about attempts to buy silence, quiet, behind-the-scenes deal, promises of exclusives in exchange for killing a story. In some cases, sources suggest straight-up payments were discussed to bury her path. This isn't just speculation anymore. This is coming from people who were in the room, people who were offered the payout to keep quiet, and now feel like with the Epstein files opening up, it's time the whole truth came out. And the timing, it couldn't be worse. Meghan's latest ventures are struggling. Her shows are flopping. Reviews are harsh. And the Spotify era ended in disaster. Viewers aren't just tired of the curated image. They are suspicious of it. They are asking, who is she really? Why does she keep rewriting her own history? Why is so much effort being made to scrub the parts of her life that don't fit the royal fairy tale she keeps trying to sell? People want authenticity. They want vulnerability. And right now, Meghan's shadowy past is making it impossible for her to keep playing the role of the polished, misunderstood douche. The irony is staggering. Meghan built her new identity on empowerment, feminism, and challenging oppressive system. But here she's allegedly trying to silence the truth, pay off journalists, and polish her image like nothing ever happened. That doesn't sit right with people. You can't claim to be a voice for transparency and turn around and hide the parts of your story that make you uncomfortable. Other celebrities who once stayed silent are starting to whisper. Former friends are pulling back. The media, once charmed by the glamour of royal wedding, is no longer playing along. The curtain is being pulled back. And what's behind it isn't quite what she promised us. Let's not get this twisted. Everyone has a past. The issue isn't the past. It's the cover-up. It's the dishonesty. It's the lengths she allegedly went to keep people from knowing who she really was before the crown. Now, let's go deeper. We need to look at the timeline because the math simply isn't mathing. Tom Bower, the biographer who has made a career out of setting royal narratives on fire, claims his research links Meghan and Prince Andrew long before Prince Harry ever entered the picture. That's right. While the official story is that she went into the royal family blind, not knowing much about them, Bower's files suggest she might have been mingling in Andrew's scandal-soaked circle years earlier. We're talking about the ghost year. Back in 2001, while most college students were stressing over exams, Meghan Markle seemed to be living a very different life. According to accounts mentioned in investigative reports, Meghan allegedly disappeared from the Northwestern campus for several weeks. Friends claimed she was traveling with wealthy acquaintances along the Mediterranean. There's no official record of where she went, but the whispers, they point to names like Ghislaine Maxwell's associates. Bower doesn't accuse Meghan of crimes, but he underlines what he calls coincidental patterns of proximity. It's a Venn diagram of ambitious Hollywood hopefuls and the elite European set. In old sorority photos, Meghan looks like the girl next door. But according to one former peer, she came back from these trips with stories that didn't quite add up. Lavish villas, friends of friends from European high society. It might have been nothing more than an adventurous summer, but the timing places her within the same luxury circuits frequented by Andrew's friends. And if those early out whispers were just harmless gossip, why do the same names keep resurfacing years later, always right before Meghan's next big move? Fast forward to 2012. Meghan is on Suits, finally getting some fame. She heads to Hong Kong for a publicity tour. On paper, it's a standard influencer trip. But guess who else is in Hong Kong that exact same week? Prince Andrew. He was there representing Britain for a trade mission. Now, there's no photo of them shaking hands, but Bower's analysis focuses on the peculiar overlap. Flight logs confirm Andrew's presence. Social media posts since deleted showed Meghan tagging luxury venues known to host VIP receptions where Andrew was a guest of honor. Local journalists recalled seeing both entourages at the same hotel chain. To some, it's a coincidence. To others, it looks like a calculated intersection. Was this the moment the bridge was built? Was this the first visible intersection between Meghan's Hollywood ascent and the monarchy's inner machinery? And then there's Soho House. If Hollywood is a web, Soho House is the spider. Between 2014 and 2016, reports described Meghan frequenting Soho House locations from Toronto to Istanbul. And who was facilitating this? Marcus Anderson, the man often called her right hand, the man who was by her side during her first date with Harry. But Marcus wasn't just a friend. He was a fixer that he knew everyone. And through the Soho House network, Meghan was allegedly placed in rooms with fashion insiders, billionaires, and yes, associates of Prince Andrew. One event in 2015 allegedly placed Meghan at an Istanbul gathering hosted by Ron Burkle, a billionaire repeatedly cited by the press as longtime acquaintance of Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton. Photos from that night surface showing Meghan with British elites. But those images quietly vanished from online archives the moment she got engaged to Harry. This brings us to the Jamaica incident in 2017. Meghan attends a wedding in Montego Bay with Harry, but reports suggest she didn't fly with him. She reportedly arrived via a private jet connected to the same network of billionaires linked to Andrew. And who else was in the area? Sarah Ferguson, Princess Eugenie. Despite dozens of photos, none showed Meghan and the York family together. It was a strategic absence. But insiders claim this is where the separate storylines cross path. Here is the bombshell theory, the palace note. Royal insiders are reportedly furious that this wasn't disclosed earlier. They're now having TC distance themselves, hoping to avoid the blowback. It is rumored that certain royal PR branches were made aware of these questionable connections early on, but were told to bury it. Why? To save face. Think about it. The royal family was already dealing with the Andrew catastrophe. The last thing they needed was their shiny new duchess having ties to the same toxic network. The theory goes they protected Meghan to protect the institution. They scrubbed her past to keep the Andrew scandal contained. Sources familiar with the palace communications teams describe a strategy of segmentation. Keep the storylines separate. Don't let the public connect the dots. In practice, that meant anything connecting Meghan's pre-Harry years to royal circles was quietly ignored. But the segmentation strategy is failing. With the new release of the Epstein files, the public is digging again. They're looking at the flight logs. They're looking at the deleted blog posts. They're looking at the ghost years. And for Meghan, the road ahead is shaky. She's at a crossroad. She can continue the denial, keep pushing the clean girl, misunderstood Duchess's storyline, or she can finally come clean. She could own it. She could say, yes, I was there. Yes, I saw things. Yes, I navigated a shark tank to get where I am. But she won't, because admitting she was in those circles destroys the fairy tale. IT admits that her entry into the royal family wasn't shaming her for attending parties. It's about accountability. It's about the difference between reinvention and rewriting history. The public is no longer buying the fairy tale without asking to see the pages that were torn out. Section 47. So, the question remains, as Andrew sinks deeper into the scandal of these new photos, will he drag Meghan down with him? Section 48. Will he, in a moment of desperation, reveal that he knew her long before Harry did? The files are out, the photos are surfacing, and the panic in Montecito is real. Section 49. What do you think? Is this just a massive coincidence of travel dates and mutual friends?